What's up everyone, it's JDM Supreme. We are back with a special mission. We are on our way to New Jersey, the beautiful port there is, to pick up a AE86 today, a very special AE86, quite possibly one of the most iconic Toyota Corolla / Truenos in existence. I can't say much more about it. It's really something special. You're just gonna have to wait and see. Today's tow vehicle is a 2000 Mitsubishi Pajero Evolution with a 276 horsepower all-stock unserviced tow vehicle. These things were built for rally events like the Dakar. It was a factory, essentially a factory, like a compact micro SUV with the box flares. It had I believe it was a 4G74 in it. I would have to fact check myself on it. I don't know the exact engine code. However, this thing is stronger than a brick house. I have had this thing 3 to 4 feet off the air at times. It handles better when it's off the ground when it is on the floor, I'll be honest with you. Today it's gonna be the unserviced tow vehicle. We're gonna see how she does. It's got a squeaking belt. It's got an idler pulley that's got an issue. She's going on a desperate need for service. Yeah, just in general, this is a stupid idea. However, it looks great, and the AE86 is gonna rock it on the back. We're gonna put this thing through the trials and tribulations. If we can get all the way there and back unserviced, I'd be shocked. Knock on wood. Let's go. Oh, girl. Look at that. Custom little lean pin. It's actually the trailer separate from the Pajero, and then there was the Tommy Macadam that this guy usually pulls is chilling back at home right now. So, in memory of, we're gonna stick it right here for good luck. Let's go. This thing has got 188,000 kilometers on it. That's roughly, I don't know, 80, 90,000 miles or so. This is just like a little topography / display piece from Mitsubishi. Dealer item installation. There was a series of gauges. You've got a compass from the factory. I mean, most everything outside of the stereo on this thing is stock. The wheels and tires were upgraded. They are Wed Sport, the Hase Spec 2s. There we go. We're merging. 276 horsepower, here we go. Feels like a 3000 GT. That's about all we want to go before we lose the trailer. Sticker kit. I put on this car like 4 years ago, so it's taking a little bit of beating. This car sits outside more often than not. But overall, this thing is one of the most durable JDM SUVs that you can buy. It makes a ton of roof noise only because of the snowboards and the gear, but for the most part, it's not bad. I mean, it's what you would expect from driving any Defender-like SUV down the highway. It's got a mode that you can adjust for the towing, the downshift. It's got a little bit of it's got a smarter transmission in it than you would a standard automatic JDM vehicle out of like the late 90s. It knows when to downshift for you. It knows when it's under load, when it needs to be under load. Overall, I mean, I can't speak any more highly of it, only because due to the lack of service, and she's putting up with my BS. So I have to say nice things about her, especially on this trip. So the limited production units, I believe there were around 2,000 of these things produced. My number could be off. This came with the 6G74 V6 engine that produced roughly 280 horsepower. Due to regulations and limits and having, Japanese having their pact, they had to state that it had 276 horsepower. These were an off-the-shelf from the dealer, Dakar homologated road / rally right from the dealership SUV. So they were quite a powerhouse. They still are today. They're not fast by any means, but if you ever questioned its towing capability, you're like, oh no, it's gonna need service. How resilient is the vehicle to skipping one of those much needed oil changes or services? I can tell you this vehicle is a true testament as to late oil changes, old belts, dry rotted hoses. I mean, I just bought this thing, drove it, and I've hit 2 to 3 foot snow. I've hit snow banks. I've had this thing airborne to the tune of, yeah, again, like 3 feet off the ground. And it lands, it's soft, it's very planted, It can be very directed. At a moment's notice, you cut the wheel, it's going there. It carves in, it feels and drives very much like an Evo. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, this is on a larger chassis, it's a different platform. I do wish, however, this came with a 4G63. If there's someone out there that's already swapped it, I haven't seen it yet. However, 4G63 would absolutely rock in this car. They do make supercharger kits for them. I've seen a few online. Suspension mods, you can really you can go full tilt on one of these vehicles. It will cost you, and it's hard to find a clean one. This is an automatic. Ironically, they do recommend the automatics for the Dakar. They were, I don't know, maybe it was a little more stable, a stable transmission, maybe it was driver fatigue. Cruising one of these things across a desert and then just consistently shifting might have been burdensome for anyone just taking the car from a dealership to a serious event like that and placing well. So maybe eliminating driver error. They're really strong. I mean, I don't know how many of these things, if any, with transmission failures or blown up. I've never had a problem with this. So again, knock on wood. The only service that I've done, I've changed the oil and I've done brakes on it. Everything else has just been throw fluids in it and go. Just did a Mitsubishi promo for a car that's like 25 years too late. We made it. It's like E85 hand sanitizer. It's been there so long. It's giving me PTSD. Holy shit. Woo. There it is.
GP series.
Yeah, this one won a drift championship back in like
Grand Prix
2002. Yeah. So, wow. Yeah, man. Here she is. I gotta set the ramps. Alright, made it. Half the mission, we have to make it back.
Check a bag.
Yes, please.
That's got to be the Tomei. When they got fully catless and Tomei on, yeah. I think just blew ears out when we were walking out the door.
Damn, this thing's fucking sizzling right now. What's going on, everyone? We are back from a long ride sitting in traffic from the port of New Jersey with, I mean, there isn't one greater. This is the most iconic AE86 on the face of this planet. This is the legendary Katsuhiro Ueo AE86, known as Ueo. He was a driver that you did not know how to handle him when he was going into an entry. His entry speeds were much higher than everyone else. The vehicle was powered by an engine that was probably 250 horsepower less than anyone else on the grid. This vehicle was extremely capable. The driver, even more so. So in 2002, Ueo won the D1GP championship in this very car. The extravagant livery on the side, it was a Swift Cusco sponsored vehicle. Tomei built the engine, a 1.6 liter stroker motor, and this thing was known for cranking out like over 10,000 RPMs, which was insane for back in 2002 for a vehicle like this to keep up with vehicles like that. Boom. Spoiler, was just, I mean, it's unexplainable. So this very vehicle, after the D1GP championship in 2002, it was the first vehicle to then go on and win the D1GP SL, which was the Street League championship, because this vehicle was more street car than it was actually race car. So here he is, here's Ueo out there with hundreds of horsepower or less, in an all-motor vehicle, crazy RPMs, and it's almost in a full interior. It was primarily a majority interior vehicle. There had to be things as the ability to roll up and down your windows. You had to have a passenger and I believe a driver's seat, something that you could get to and from on the track, compete, and then drive home with it. All working functional lights. This thing now is unfortunately, it's in a very, very dire state. The car was, actually I bought it from a very close friend of Ueo. It wasn't at the top of his priority. Guys over in Japan, they shift gears, they want to be on the forefront of ingenuity, they want to be on the forefront of technology, steering components, braking, like to them, this was a very great experience for them in their past. Unfortunately, they would rather be at the front of what's hot today. So this car sat in the backyard of said location in Japan, and as you can see, it's got rust spots on it. There's a lot of corrosion. I'll be honest with you, it's in dire straits. I mean, this thing needs a ton of work, but I absolutely fell in love with this thing watching earlier D1GP videos of Ueo just completely crushing it. Take note, all of the chassis, like the other race cars, stitch welded. So Ueo probably handled a lot of this work himself. He was a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy. That's insane. This floor mat, for those that have seen this guy in the past, know that his suits were he had a white suit, pant legs all the way up through like mid-thigh, flames on the arms, had this flame floor mat that he would just absolutely like kill it. El Maestro on the pedals. It was insane. This thing is like gold. I'm so glad that they left this in the car. I'm actually happier that this mat made it with this car than probably anything else. When we picked up the car had no way of stopping the e-brake, obviously. There's no set pin on the inside of the handle. As most drift cars of this era, they took out and they released the pins so you can just up and down. There was no need to press an emergency release to unlock the brake. So that guy right there needed just a quick tow strap to hold it in place. The fuel system is in place. Factory fuel cell is very much like his version 2 car, which had a completely riveted chassis saved for another episode. Fuel lines, that's basically a surge tank. So this thing would pull so many G's and going into a corner or exit that you would need to make sure his fuel supply were consistent. The wiring harness looks like it was starting to get pulled through. I'm not quite sure what the next stage of this vehicle were. However, Ueo did run an AE86 platform for about 5 years straight. So from 2002 to about 2007, he was battling with vehicles that were 450 to 500 plus horsepower cars. I mean, HKS at that time was pumping out their S15s, and I believe they were cracking like 510, 525 horsepower or so. This car again was making about that 245, 250 realm. I assume. It had a little less horsepower than version 2, which I believe was somewhere around like 265 to 270 on its best day. All of the panels on this are, I don't know the last time these pins were actually pulled, but extremely lightweight. They're probably like, they're probably a J-Blood rear hatch and J-Blood doors, but this thing weighs absolutely nothing. The whole car is, well, the whole car is Bondo, but yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. This is crazy, seeing this thing in person is nuts. Fiberglass door on the other side, and this one looks to be steel. Yeah, what's left of it. Unfortunately, this car's got some serious rust. The rocker panels, I've got a ton of work in front of me, but for the love of the game, it must be done. It's gonna need a set of wheels for it, obviously. There's no engine and transmission in this car. However, Ueo does know this vehicle's here, and he is aware that I'm at least attempting to rebirth this vehicle. I'm hoping that we can collaborate to some extent. You can jump on, he's gonna build an engine for it. I would love that. I mean, perfect scenario. He ends up building the engine and shipping it here. Would be sick. I'm bleeding from the fucking Bondo, bro. This thing already cut me. So y'all can see what I'm about to deal with here. Old gal sat outside for a while. A lot of the engine bay has to be stripped. She does need parts. I have a parts vehicle, another AE86 that was actually a donor car for another AE86. We should be able to get away with some of the components. I know the electrical components, some of the fuses, relays, are going to be needed. I've got a radiator, a competition spec, something that this car would have run. Got brakes for this, a lot of early Cusco components, which this car ran. This old light blue, this is all Cusco. This is all early Cusco. Looks like early Cusco. Could be wrong. However, I do have a lot of components for this car. But there is this is a full disassemble strip and need for rehab. If this were any other car, it wouldn't be worth it. I mean, the only thing that you really recognize this car for now is probably the hood. Going down the highway, there were a couple people that gave us a beep, a thumbs up after they had seen the hood. It's like they passed the car and they looked in their rear view and they're like, oh shit, because of how unique the hood was. And this car was everywhere. I mean, this thing, after it had won the 2002 D1GP and then went on to the SL, it was in every single Speed Hunters, option video. It's crazy. It's like, it's so impactful. Even just sitting here, completely dilapidated, I'm like, I just want to get to work on this thing. But I know it's going to get to work on me because it needs so much. It's awesome it's here. It's also like, it's bittersweet because I know that she deserves it, but I do know that it's gonna require a lot of TLC. I actually just noticed that both of these doors are steel. So also might have been like a requirement from the D1GP SL, the street league cars, probably had to have steel doors. I'm still bleeding from this stupid thing, bro. Like every car, the first 10 minutes has to take like a cut, dude. Just make a mark. What we're gonna do is slide this thing forward so we can take a look at the underside of this car to see exactly what I'm up against. But I also just want to touch upon, like, there was at no point that he just wanted to get rid of this car. There are some prerequisites that have to be matched to at least get someone like this attention for a vehicle of this caliber. So I had already purchased something else, a few others that are like this car that were also running against this in competition with, as you've seen on camera. And I've done a lot with those former D1GP race cars that had gone off into either the woods, someone's backyard, just total neglect, and he took a liking to it. So with that said, I was kind of like pre-approved in one sense or another. Asked him through a friend a couple more times, then not to pester or bother. It was randomly got the phone call from our connect, and he was like, "Hey, listen, Ueo is ready, and he's willing to part ways with the champ car." So, no questions asked, sent the money over, and here it is. To get a vehicle in the country like this is not very hard at all. It meets all your plus 25-year-old and more range. So there are no requirements really. I mean, you can just, as long as you've got VIN number, it's legitimate and it's not stolen, then you can get it in. Anyone can import it. Here, what I'll do is we'll slide it forward, drop the ramps, and then we'll just wheel it onto the lift. So forward to, actually just go straight forward. Even to today, there's like that massive horsepower war thing. You know, it's X driver skill, and then, you know, then the rest is just money. So, you know, the horsepower game that's in FD, they don't play it as hard as D1GP. Well, let's face it, like every car in FD now is like 1,000 horsepower or more. There's absolutely no turbo lag. You've got a 100 shot at minimum just to spool the turbo. And now it's like 1,500 foot-pounds of torque and big blocks, and it's, you know, cars like this, unfortunately, it's just, you know, they're beat before they leave the gate. You know, driver skill is, again, it's only so much, and the rest is like, you know, how deep your pockets go. Am I? Yeah. We made it. No, it was already broken, but it had a split in the front. It's split a little more, but. Office, yeah. Tsuchiya's suspension right there. It's dope. Definitely need to get those rebuilt. Are there Kaioffice fronts as well, or are these just, oh, DG5? So yeah, this suspension he would have run DG5s in the front and then the Kaioffice in the rear. But he definitely had upgraded sway bars, and I mean, he's got controllers, lower control arms were upgraded. Actually, everything's adjustable. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely signs of components that he would have had on while he was racing. Alpha style front fenders, and then every square inch of this thing is like stitch weld, stitch weld, stitch weld, stitch weld, which is pretty cool, because I mean, more often than not, you'd see these older race cars, these D1GP cars, and they were only stitch welded in the engine bays. So you can tell that this thing was used from the earliest of D1GP racing to like the mid 2000s. Some of the requirements that you would have to stitch weld the entire car. So it went from just engine bays to the entire vehicle. Dude, you can see right through the Kevlar hood. Wheels. These are rare SSRs, some V1s. But the rear quarter panels, I mean, everything is just so cooked in this. Holy crap, dude. Yo, no, oh my God, no. I'm just making my, I'm gonna take a screwdriver to this right now. I'm curious, for science. So let's see, oh yeah, the whole inner lip is juiced. Whoa, yeah. How much needs to be done? No, this is all gonna come off anyway, but still. That's thick. She's been through it. I mean, I'm just glad that the floors aren't totally trashed, and there's actually like, they're not rotted to death. It's just really a rocker panel and a quarter panel thing, which is expected because these cars obviously get the inner wheel wells pushed up, cut, reground. The outer lips on the quarter panels usually flared or tucked in. And this thing sat outside for a while. So I think that's what happens. Dude, now here I go. I'm going into it. I'm going down the rabbit hole. Where else should we poke? I mean, this is the side that cut me already, so. Yeah. This whole needs to get sandblasted. We're gonna strip this thing down to like bare metal. Wow, rockers. They're still there. I'm not going all the way through, but this is a lot nicer than what you'd find in Ireland. And those guys over at Juicebox, shout out to them. They are big AE86 guys. And this car over there isn't in bad shape. They would make this absolutely beautiful. I got faith in them. Enthusiasts through and through. Shout out to the guys over in Ireland. Yeah, they're gonna be happy when they see that this thing's home. Dude, I just wanna start working on it now. Is that through? Yeah, that's all the way through the door. So, and this is mystery piece. Okay, I'm done picking. Awesome, but it's not that these guys don't love these cars or they're just like thrown out and neglected. It's that the owners and the drivers, the professionals, don't want to live their life reliving their life. So, and guys of this stature like Ueo, they're sent products, they have to test new vehicles. There's a lot of research and development going on. They just get too busy. And again, like it could have been on his agenda to one day make this thing great again. But you know, the next best thing is relying on someone else who's going to appreciate the car and do it exactly as they would have wanted it done. So preservation and reutilization of components, bring it back to exactly the factory spec or the builder spec, how the vehicle was. Like we're not going to throw a turbo on this car. This car never had a turbo, but a lot of guys would look at cars like the Amuse Carbon R and say, hey, listen, like upgrade the turbos, you know, like bring that thing back to Tsukuba and break, you know, new records and try to dip into the sub 55 seconds. That would be great, you know, but the car was built last by Hideki, who we've got a lot of respect for, and we want to preserve it as it was built, run it as it was run. So yeah, sure, if they make Bridgestones, who was, you know, this car had Potenzas on it, if they sell a recreation Bridgestone Potenza, not necessarily the original tire that was on the car, if they sell more of a recreation tire, then it's going to get the version 3.0s. Which reminds me that Bridgestone actually came out with a new Potenza. So if Bridgestone, if you're watching, we need tires. So covering the final aspect underneath this car would be the floor. It is all intact. It's not rotted to death. This is good. I mean, it's a telltale sign that this car was driven extremely hard and went way off the road. We can throw it on a chassis gig, straighten out the floor, put it on a frame machine to make sure that everything is true and straight. A little before, here, there, and after. And a complete strip and disassembly of all the paint, all the components on the vehicle, either an acid dip or something like a sandblast, like totally abrasive, knock all of this stuff off. And then we could tackle the rear end and the suspension simultaneously. I'm not sure what rear diff this is. I would have to open it up to see if it's got a limited slip in it. It looks like it was re-glued, so it could be a Cusco in that thing. That's what typically these guys ran. But yeah, I'll put it on the ground and at least recap on the engine. I want to go over briefly. I mean, it's not in the car, but at least like some of the specs, and in hopes that Ueo sees the video and he wants to help us out with that. Let's get it on the ground. The engine that's in this car that should have been in this car, it's a Tomei engine. The Tomei engine that Ueo ran from Tomei had the secret sauce. Still to this day, looking back on videos, nothing else 4A GE related sounded remotely close to the engines that were in his cars. It's extremely hard to replicate the amount of horsepower that these little engines were running, the RPM, and also the engine tone, the noise. So with that said, a lot of those recipes is probably going to be like proprietary or just you know, on a need to know basis sort of situation with Ueo and Tomei. I'm hoping that we can kind of like get them to rekindle a relationship, and I would want nothing better than to have one of Ueo's engines back in this car. That's the ultimate goal. She definitely wants to bite me again. That's a wrap. So this is my favorite AE86 of all time. Most iconic in my book. I would love to hear what your most iconic AE86 Sprinter is in yours. There isn't much that this car didn't do for those that are going to try to step up against Ueo's AE86 Champ car. This also did time attack. It won a D1GP, it won the D1GP SL, and it was against cars that had twice the horsepower. Extremely iconic, epic. The driver alone is twice that. However, yeah, driver skill. That's always been the open-ended question of all time driving. So I appreciate you sticking it out through the end of the video. If you're into stuff like this, these legendary D1GP cars or legendary JDM cars in general is up your alley, then don't forget to subscribe. This again has been a little bit of a side quest. We are working on 2 larger projects, so this won't be the next episode you see. However, we will touch upon this car infrequently in between other episodes. I'm just riffing off right now. I'm going to do a membership for everyone, right? Cameraman's gonna punch me in the face. And for that membership, you guys will have some keepsake items off the original car, those items that we cannot use anymore, and they will be mailed to you. So stuff like the hood pin that I couldn't get out and almost broke my right finger will be sent directly to you. This is Ueo's championship hood pin. It is more of a support to the vehicle, the process. You get a lot of behind the scenes footage, early content, and the cool keepsake items. All right, love you guys. I've got to get back to work. Again, thanks for watching JDM Supreme. Until next time, Ueo AE86, boy! Bondo Boomerang.